Today's November 23rd. Got something loud in the blunt, yeah. I do and say what I want, yeah. Probably somewhere sunny getting tan. Foreign women in the sun, yeah. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. Got my brothers with me. Got my brothers with me and my mama's healthy. That's all that I need.
G'day everyone and welcome to the crossover. I am one of two hosts, not named Dan. My name is Matty G at NBA G Wiz, and this is my good friend Adam King. How are you, Kingy?
Very good, mate. Happy to not be hosting. Repping my standard squeeze merch. Not my sponsor, but your sponsor, so I might as well promote
it's our sponsor. It's our sponsor, and I'm sipping from my 4-in-1, which I know that you got. So shout out to you got the pink one too. There you go. You've got a tinny. There's just straight wine in this. You can put coffee in it. You can do whatever you want with the 4-in-1. You can get the gear, and you can use the promo code IFS15 to get 15% off because that's just Ash and good blokes. This podcast is like, I mean, we have like there's like a fancy banner that comes up sometimes before you saw this episode. And it was like hot guys. Are you feeling pretty hot right now, Kingy? Are you pretty like sitting back, just like counting your chip stack of some of the guys you've got right so far this season? Because you might deserve a bit of a victory lap.
I've got a few right. I've certainly got a few wrong as well.
Yep.
Yeah, look, it's early. I mean, I talked about on my show earlier some of the moves I've made in my leagues and players I've dropped, and look, I think a couple of them I'm probably hanging on more out of pride than anything else. It's potentially time to move on from a couple.
Keon Ellis is still valuable.
Oh, there's been some, as there is every season. There's always a few players that don't live up to expectations, and then others that far exceed what we thought they were going to do. But that's fantasy.
I can thoroughly say I'm never going to trust a word out of Mike Brown's mouth again. No, Keon Ellis is the starter. Keon Ellis is the starter.
Yeah.
And Kevin Herter is just out here popping. In fact, I'm going to make a move while we talk about it because we have to put in things, but I can't say all the moves I'm going to make live because every time I do that, someone else ends up doing it in leagues. We do share it, but we are going to talk about hot guys. We'll go over some of I know you've already done the stats breakdown of the day. So I think let's just run through today really quickly. Injury-wise, because this has big implications, because one of the guys that I loved, that you loved, and I know many analysts were very fond of in the Utah Jazz rebuild, was one Taylor Hendricks, who has pretty much just he was a 100 pick. Now, a top 100 pick around that area isn't going to kill you, but a lot of owners are just really unhappy. He will be out from the season with a fractured fibula and ankle dislocation. Did not look good, mate.
It did not, no, and it was pretty. I mean, it shows you if you saw it. A lot of people don't like watching that kind of stuff. I do, so I watched it. It was pretty innocuous. There wasn't really anyone around him. It was really just his foot got caught underneath himself, and his momentum went one way. His leg stayed, and his leg snapped basically. And it was I mean, you could tell like. If you watched it, you could tell straight away that this is not a
slow motion replay. When they do that one and they say this is, the slow motion replay where the analyst's like, this is how your leg is not supposed to go. Yeah, and it reminded me a little bit, probably not quite as extreme as the Gordon Hayward one a few years ago. Which happened on opening night. I remember that very well, and it was pretty bad. This was similar injury, so I mean his season is done. Maybe he comes back for like 5 games at the end of the season, but I'd say they just rest him. He's done. Now I know this, and I also feel like a dickhead whenever I say this. Like, hey, let's just sweep it. But we all know that if we're fantasy managers, we're also called vultures. Let's be 100% honest. So the first question that we have to ask ourselves is, okay, who stands to benefit? Obviously not any owners, but people who are going to have to put him back on the waiver wire and come back out. Now, one of the names that was thrown around very quickly was Zanzibar. He got some extra minutes. I think John Collins sees a few more minutes in the rotation because of this as well. So all those Collins owners. And Jordan Clarkson got a bit more burn, funnily enough, today as well.
Yeah, I think it's. I did talk about this on the post game show. I think Collins is probably the obvious one. I think he probably makes sense to just slot straight in at the starting power forward.
Yeah.
So he would be the obvious one. But then, I mean, Utah aren't going to be super competitive, so I think it'll just be. Yeah, it'll be some Sensabaugh. It might be some Filipowski at some point. Maybe Clarkson gets some more minutes. Sexton's minutes go up slightly. So I think it's probably Collins, but he's rostered, I would say. I mean, I don't have his numbers, but he should be rostered in most leagues anyway.
I'm aware in one league that I know that he is sitting on the waiver wires because someone was unhappy that he wasn't getting the minutes to start, and he was dropped on waivers and he was picked up incredibly close today. Like, I didn't expect to see him there. Then I saw someone add him and I'm like, what are we doing? Who dropped him? And I had to go back in and look, and someone was just unhappy with his minutes early on in the season. They dropped him out, and here we go. Yeah, someone picked him up. He was pissed off, and then they picked Hendricks off, and Collins was picked up. And I'm like, how was he available? And someone had just literally dropped him on the waiver wires, and he'd cleared overnight. Sensabaugh is really the only other guy there who we're looking for. I would say getting minutes around the area. Would you argue, Kingy?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think I see anyone other than Collins who is going to be like, you have to add this guy in standard leagues. It's probably going to be a bit of a let's watch what a couple of games look like and see. But yeah, look, it wasn't good, and it's certainly listening to the coach in the post game stuff. He was talking about how much. I mean, all these players put in a lot of effort, obviously, but he'd really worked on his game and built up some muscle. So it was all trending really well for him, and this basically puts him back 12 months now, so it's a shame.
It really is. Other notable injuries, Steph Curry there. This is an interesting one. We can talk about Golden State. Now, I know that happened, but then the news overnight was instantly, by the way, shout out to those in the comments, was just about to ask if Kessler and Collins still dangled at the deadline, or do they hold off? Well, this is bloody really interesting. Koa Chad Twitch TV. Hello. Specifically because it would open up the path for Bryce. That is correct. And that's if they go the tanking route. The very interesting thing today, Cow Chad? Are you like a cacao? I don't know how to say the name, Kingy. Was that there's massive reports out that the Lakers are openly pursuing Walker Kessler. So that's what I opened up today, which means that he's not being shopped. And these are the kind of rumors we hear out there in the NBA ether that like, oh, let's just throw a line out there and see where it goes. Me personally, whatever AD is doing, I'm just letting him cook if I'm the Lakers organization. I'm not bringing in another big man to clog out anywhere near the wrecking ball that he has been to start the season. But we could very much see Kessler on the move possibly this season still, despite that being put to bed, Kingy.
Yeah, look, maybe. I mean, they sort of talked him up a little bit in the preseason and saying that they want to build around him this year. And I don't know what happened last year. But, of course, that could just be smoke and mirrors because they are trying to build up some trade value for him. So, yeah, look, I wouldn't put anything past them. I mean, Lauri Markkanen was obviously rumoured to be on the block but signed a multi-year deal. So whether that is they're sort of – it's a view to him now being on a somewhat favourable contract. Can they move him? Although I don't know if his contract is that favourable. Yeah, look, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if Utah know what they're going to do. But, yeah, look, it's certainly I wouldn't say – because they're not – I don't think in their mind they're going to be – well, no, maybe in their mind they are. But they're not going to be –
maybe in their mind. Maybe in their mind they're a competitor too.
Yeah, in their mind. But, yeah, not having Hendricks there – I don't think would change their plans too much. So if their plan is to move move Walker Kessler or John Collins, I mean, John Collins is the obvious one to move, then I don't think this will change that all too much.
No, I don't see the trajectory of that changing anytime soon. But good question. Thanks there, Cal. If you do have any live questions, make sure you do put those in the chat, and we will get to those during the course of this episode. Let's talk a few of the hot guys. I spoke about this in my show with Skitty last night. You can catch that wherever you can. We actually broke down like the top 12 rankings or top 16 really for Basketball Monster and #basketball to see where we could get that. And I tipped off that it was last night. Send out a trade immediately with if you were a Franz Wagner owner, to get him moving, because the man has opened up as one of the top 12 assets, top 15 assets in fantasy basketball. That came back down to earth today in a massive way. Now, I'm not sure if it was a victim of the fact that Paolo Banchero had a career night, but Franz, 7 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal. Now, 3 from 5 was okay, but only the 10 minutes there because he was sick. So they needed to really rely heavily on Paolo Banchero. But this is what I'm talking, Kingy, almost a triple-double, 1 assist away. You are taking a victory lap on this bloke right about now.
Yeah, he's looked pretty good. The free throws are still a bit of an issue, which we sort of were hoping he might have fixed up. So everything today was really good, except the free throws. I think he was
15 from 22, 68%,
which is 68% something.
Yeah,
yeah. And on high volume like that is going to kill you
Massive.
for your free throws this week. So that was unfortunate, but yeah, no. Look, apart from that, this was sort of his breakout, I guess. I mean, well, yeah. Well, let's call it.
It was a career year. It was a breakout. This was a big, massive career night for the bloke. But I think this is when we're talking about perfect pairs. You grabbing in the first round of your drafts in future. I think we can. This is almost with a view to 25, 26. You can grab Giannis in the first round. And if Paolo is going to be that third round guy, grab yourself an awesome point guard in the second one who can buoy whatever field goal percentage and stats you want. But if Paolo is going to be a third round guy, you're looking at a really punt free throw percentage like build with really good stats right there, because he's really filling it up in other areas as well. 2 blocks today, 1 steal, the 9 assists. He's also been a player that can fill the box score up a lot. But as you said, his big liability really is the free throws. And on that volume today, massive. This could have been a 60-point game for the bloke back almost.
Yeah, and I think he had 37 at halftime. So
yeah,
they did manage to contain him a little bit in the second half. But yeah, look, any 50-point performance is worth talking about. And no, it's looking. I think Orlando have to be pretty happy with how their season has started.
Yeah, absolutely. They are crushing it over in the Eastern Conference. Big surprise. I did touch on this earlier. Today, the Lakers' narrow loss against the Phoenix Suns. Horrible game from LeBron James. You don't expect him to go 11 points on 3 for 14 shooting, especially. He's still 2 from 5 from 3, 40%. Still good percentage clip. But this has been really impressive to see the emergence of one of the guys we're going to get into a little bit later on, Tyus Jones. Really good minutes from him today. Again, just doing what he does off the bench. But AD has just been an absolute wrecking ball. If you're an AD owner, here's a quick question for you. I was asked this today, so I haven't had a chance to. Do you think, g'day, Beta? Hola. Would you sell high on AD for another first-round player coupled with a nice pick, or would you hold and ride this way for as long as you can?
I'd probably hold, because I mean I've got him in I think about 4 teams, because if I had any pick basically from pick 3 down, I was trying to get him. So I got him at 3 in a league. I think I got him at 6 in a league, 5 in a league. So I was pretty happy taking him. And so if I was looking to trade him away, it would have to be a good return. I'm just sort of looking at who's there. Obviously, I don't think you're going to get Wemby or Jokic for him. Yep. So, it would be, I guess you consider maybe Luka or Shea. But if you wanted to, otherwise you'd be looking at, do you trade him for, I don't know, like James Harden and Evan Mobley or something? I don't know. Like I'd need a pretty hefty return, just because I think. Well, I assumed, I don't know, I had hoped that the Lakers were going to begin that transition this year into this is not LeBron's team, this is AD's team, and I think we're seeing it. LeBron is doing less. As you said, he only had 11 points tonight or last night, and I think he's trying to defer a little bit more. Austin Reeves has had a really good start to the year. Rui Hachimura has been really good. Their depth is still an issue, but I think we are seeing the ascendancy of Anthony Davis. And I mean, it's not out of the realms of possibility that if the Lakers were to somehow push and get the 3rd seed in the West, that Anthony Davis could get MVP.
I could absolutely see that happening, and this is what I mean. Like when we talked about like bonus by addition by subtraction kind of situations as well. I really feel, Kingy, that Gabe Vincent is a little bit of a dark horse with these guys and Max Christie. Like they didn't go out and they didn't shop open guards. They're kind of showcasing Max Christie out there. He would have to be in any package. But it's the Gabe Vincent minutes. He played 19 today. Only 1 from 3, but he's out there just pestering. He's almost really good in that like Alex Caruso role. You know what I mean? That little hound who just gets out there and pesters away, gets stops. Now, obviously, there's no stop. We can say that when Devin Booker puts up 33 points and they look fantastic. But Plumlee getting the rebounds on the day, that was the difference maker off the second unit today. That put it back in. But also, you're going against 2 offensive weapons here when really D'Angelo Russell, it's buy low on him right now. He's looked absolutely this one. Here's g'day Matty Morrell. Would we trade AD for Trey and Mobley? Yes. I actually think I might do that because you've got a guaranteed first round player. Mobley right now is, where was he ranked yesterday? He was in the top 15. Jarrett Allen, I know, was taking a leap today further up. But yeah, I'm not anti that trade. I would probably do it.
Yeah, that's probably that's what you'd be looking for, something like that. I think Trey started. He wasn't that good today, but
no.
Prior to today, he'd been really good, and Mobley's been really consistent. I think Mobley's going to be a second rounder this year, and so that's probably 2 second rounders for a potential top 3, top 2 player.
I'm just got to ask this: are you doing this in one of the leagues that? No, I'm going to take that back advice because I'm in a couple of leagues with Morrell. So no, Morrell, if we're to one of the leagues that I'm in, no.
All right, no, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I would do that one. Here we go. Here we go. I'm going to do it. I would absolutely get that 100%. 100% do that trade. If you do have any more trade advice, make sure you get that one on there. Now, we did mention one of these guys earlier just because we were just fringing around it. So we'll go back and forth with a couple of these over the course of the night. This is one of our first ADP battles. This is our first one of the season just because we did mention the Phoenix Suns. And this is one that I was a massive Tyus Jones fan, but this one is a little bit interesting. Let's see who we're going to bring up here. It is Tyus Jones versus Dyson Daniels. ADP battle. Take us through this one, mate.
Yeah, well, I had to get Dyson in because he was sort of I planted my flag in him everywhere this season, so I had to get him into an ADP battle. So I basically had a look at the player ranks for the last week, and Daniels is he's at 59. That would include today's. Yeah, that includes last night's game. So he's at 59. So I was just looking in that range. Another guard, so someone similar. I didn't want to compare him to, like, if I'm looking there now, I didn't want to compare him to a Rudy Gobert, for example, because it really comes down to, do you need blocks or do you need steals? So 100%. I wanted to compare him to someone similar, and Tyus, I think, is actually a pretty good comparison. Neither of them are going to score a lot. They get steals. They're fairly efficient. They don't turn the ball over. So that was the thinking here. I just wanted to see or get your thoughts because I'm obviously going to go Dyson Daniels. 100%. I just wanted to get someone else's opinion.
Look, I don't. This is when you texted me this one. I was a little bit put out, and I think it was because Tyus Jones is more highly rated, and that was just before today's performance as well versus Phoenix. You had him down here at 48. I don't know if that's shifted much.
He's 47 now.
He's gone down slightly. Look, we're looking at a guy who's on 10 points per game. It doesn't show today. The 4 rebounds almost is great. The 6 assists, that's what we get from him. The 1.8 steals. The thing that I like about him, it's the percentages are good and Dyson's are inconsistent. And I'm a percentages guy. And I think where I'm coming undone a little bit this year is guys, you just really notice the volatility of taking a shit ton of shots and them not going in. Today, case in point, Paolo Banchero. Like, we're all standing up and applauding this brilliant performance, almost a triple-double, 50 points, throwing it down. But then, like you said, you look at that volume, and you were chasing 22 shots from the free throw line over the course of your week. Now, some teams get about 120 over the course of the week. So that is looking at basically 1/6 at 68%, which is really hard to battle out of. I feel Dyson Daniels very much fits that build. His free throw percentage for the year right now is 375. So it's a bit of a neg on him. Now, his field goal percentage being 500, I don't know, Kingy, if that's sustainable. So to get the lower steals, getting similar return, I think I might favor Tyus Jones. And I'm a guy who's owned Dyson Daniels and Tyus Jones in both of my leagues. And I just like the non-harm, no foul of Tyus Jones. I think just a smidge more on those percentages.
Yeah, they are really close, and that's what it would come down to. Obviously, Daniels is going to be better than a 38% free throw shooter, but he's 100%. Not. It's a known issue with him, so he's not going to be. He's not going to be up at 80 or 90 or anything like Tyus Jones. I think the field goal percentage is relatively sustainable. I know he's shooting some threes, but he mixes it up. He's not high volume enough. Like, that's one thing, I guess, when looking at both of these players, is that even if they have an off night, they're going to go 2 of 7 instead of 4 of 7. So it's not going to impact you like a Luka tonight, who went 5 of 22 or something. I think the rebounds, I think Daniels has got a little bit more upside. They're about equal now. I think Daniels is slightly above him, but I think Daniels will be at sort of 5 rebounds by the end of the season. It's those steal numbers at the moment. Daniels he's probably leading the league, is he? He'd have to be close. He's at 2.8. Oh, no.
I think it was. I actually have to say that yesterday it was Jordan Poole. To be honest, I did this show last night, and Jordan Poole was, but after today, he's just gone down to 3, and it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 3.3. So the fact that I'm even having that as a sentence, and then your eyebrows, you should have seen your eyebrows then. When I said Jordan Poole was leading the NBA, he was at 3.5 steals yesterday, leading the league, and he's still at 3. And I said it's not sustainable. He goes out there and gets 2 today, and I think. And that wasn't a segue, but I think he just opened up the door. So we've split vote on that one. In chat, make sure that you just type in if you would vote for Tyus Jones and Dyson Daniels. If you're Australian, you've got to vote twice for Tyus Jones to get the amount of votes, obviously, because we're all Australians. We hope good things for Dyson. But this is the next one. It's Jordan Poole versus Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas, obviously, is the 24-25 NBA version of Jordan Poole from last year. 2 votes in here. Gino, hello, by the way. We have a quick question there from him first. Kingy, I know it's off topic. How are you feeling about Wemby at the moment? I know you're big on him at number 1. Oh, we'll come back to you, Gino, on that one, because I've got some thoughts and some feelings on that one. But let's talk about this right now. Jordan Poole is the 5th best player after today in fantasy basketball. Cam Thomas is the 11th.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's a weird world that we're living in.
It is.
Yeah, look, so I put these guys, this was my other battle, and I've got both of them in various teams. I don't think I have them in the same team. But for me, in my mind, coming into drafts this year, Poole was sort of a cheaper version of Cam Thomas. So you were getting Poole in the 70s, 80s. Thomas was sort of in the 50s, 60s. So... And you're right, like we were viewing Cam Thomas this year almost like we were Jordan Poole last year. This guy who's playing on a bad team, he's just going to get all the shots that he wants. And that didn't turn out, as we know. Poole burned everyone.
He has not met a shot that he does not like. You can see him, even in what you would call crunch time of these games, mad if he doesn't get the ball in his hands. Like, Cam Thomas is an all-time unfun guy to play with, 100%.
Yeah, that's right. He is. And so I just thought, I don't know. For me, I have these 2 in my head in the same bucket as basically the same player. So I just thought, given that they're both first rounders at the moment, who would you prefer rest of season? I have my thoughts. I'll let you go first on this one, though.
Do I have to go first? I thought I was driving.
No, I'm drinking.
I need to get a drink. Okay. So I have some thoughts and feelings about it. It's because the biggest alarm thing for me was that when I looked at these stats yesterday and that pod with Skitty was popping off, and we had some really good numbers there. It's the fact that Jordan Poole is the 5th best basketball player in fantasy right now on under 30 minutes a night And he just played a game today where that could have boosted up. He could have played, for some reason, 36 or 38, meaned out. The average could have just panned out there just a little bit. But he's still at 29.7 minutes. There is no other player apart from Larry Nance Jr., who we can completely disregard in a one fuck-off thing for Atlanta today because they needed the bloke to play, playing less than 30 minutes. So the fact that Jordan Poole is doing this on field goal percentage of .512, he is yet to miss a free throw for the season. He's at 3 steals a game. I don't think it's sustainable. Like, I'm looking at these numbers, but I'm actually thinking that it actually might be, because if this is the worst that he's going to be in 29 minutes a game, or even the best he's going to be in 29, well, let's say he goes up a little bit to 32. His percentages take a hit. What? He's the 50th best player? Cam Thomas is getting this volume right now based purely driven by his 1.7 steals a game. If that crashes out and those percentages come down to like the 400s where he is, that's the guy that I want. Jordan Poole's points per game can be great. 30 points for Cam Thomas is sexy. But, man, I think it's just big. I'm going to take Thomas, but I like Poole more, only because if push comes to shove and the Washington Wizards are more active in shutting it down, there's actually basketball players there in the room where there's no real other basketball players in Brooklyn. And I think that we're going to be like, just see the whole Jordan Poole, like the Jordan Poole experience, and be like, that's great. He gets bumped up for next year. But I think Cam Thomas is the guy that I want long-term for this season. So, and right there, here we are. I've got Poole and Thomas. I bet you bloody are, Gino. You are loving for that one. And back to him, Daniels for sure. He, fair enough for this one. But yeah, sell high on both is my opinion. And if you can somewhat get a decent first rounder back for Poole or Thomas, have at it. Like literally, like the guy who was behind Jordan Poole, Kingy, is Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
It's nuts. It's nuts. You tell me where you're at with this.
So yeah, I think I'm sort of similar to you. Like, I think we came into the season thinking Thomas was probably a 1 or 2 round better player. Yep. And I still think that's the case. I think Jordan Poole, as you said, is higher at the moment. But if you look across his numbers, the 51% from the field is not sustainable. We just have no indication that he is a 50% scorer. And the 3 steals are not sustainable.
Not sustainable.
So I think if we sort of chop, I think he can be maybe 1.5 steals, 1.4, but that's a big difference. Where I think you look at Cam Thomas, and other than the steals, which are at 1.7, he'll probably drop down closer to 1.
Yep.
I think everything else is moderately sustainable. The percentage has probably come down a little bit. He's at 47.7% now. They probably come down to sort of 46. So I think Thomas probably settles in as a top 50, top 40 player. Poole probably top 60. But yes, look, if you've got both of them, you could trade them or sell high, but it would depend. Like, I don't think anyone's going to give you a top 40 player for Cam Thomas.
I got one today. I literally had a guy today ask me. He was asking to put Jordan Poole, and I think it was like was it KCP? Would he accept Trae Young for Jordan Poole and like a KCP? And I was like, yes, right now. Just do it before the person takes it back. Hit yes very, very quickly. And if we're looking at those guys, they're absolutely fantastic. Here we go. Looking at free agency right now to upgrade the back end of my bench. Currently, Grimes. Do you think guys like Chris Dunn keeps up this low volume? Yes, this is exactly what he does. Chris Dunn is a low volume guy, pretty efficient, comes up with steals and assists. Yeah, 100%. That's a streaming way. The other guy that I like in that one, funny enough to what Slipping Jimmy says there, is there's guys on his 8-team mates league. Scottie Pippen Jr., get him in your league. Chad, if he's CCTTV, pick him up. That's another low-end back guy in a similar vein. But what do you think in this one, mate? What do you do with Scoot Henderson? Do you hold Scoot? I mean, I would go Rozier over those blokes.
Yeah, in an 8-team league, Rozier is jumping off the page there to me as the guy you need to. I think he's top 50 for the season. He could be top 70 this year. So I think, if I had to sort of prioritize, those, 4 players,
50.
Rosier would be first, pretty clearly. And then the rest are all, it's probably bunched together. And then if looking at that other one in terms of Chris Dunn, well, I've just added him in 2 leagues, so I don't know if that sort of answers your question. But I think we were a little bit unsure of how Kevin Porter Jr. and Chris Dunn, how the minutes would be distributed, and it does look as though they're going with Chris Dunn a little bit more. He's played, I think he played 28 minutes in the last game or something.
It was a bunch.
He's getting steals.
26 or 20. Yeah.
Yeah, he gets steals. He's a good rebounder. He's much like sort of Dyson Daniels. He's efficient on low volume. Doesn't turn the ball over. So he's been a bit of a per minute kind of beast for the last 4 or 5 years. I don't think he'll ever land a starting spot. He's a bit like a TJ McConnell, just really good in 20 minutes, but can't get a 30-minute role anywhere.
Yeah, this is exactly the problem with Chrissy Dunn. He's been a bit of a guy like that. We've got a bunch of questions that have come through after that one. I have found Christian Braun in 14-team points league. Is it worth to ride their wave or go for a stash such as Carrington? Braun is not a stat. He is not a wave. This is now him for the season. This is what we wanted to see in the preseason. We didn't get. We saw a lot more Julian Strother minutes, and basically Christian sucked. Christian Braun, whatever you want to say, the Razor, wasn't playing well in the preseason. There was hands off. I managed to pick him up in 2 leagues. The second that I saw him starting and playing well, easy. Love that one. So for me, I'm holding him. Aldama's only been getting a bump with Triple J in his limited return. We also know that Vince Williams Jr. and Gigi's out probably for a longer time, but we know that Vince Williams Jr. has got to come back into the fold. That will probably impact the Aldama minutes long term. You ride the Aldama wave very briefly to answer that one. Then you can move into a stash as Carrington, who didn't get removed from the starting lineup for Bilal Coulibaly today in that role and was moved to the bench and played a lot better there, Kingy.
Yeah, I picked him up in 1 or 2 leagues, I think, and as a bit of a stash, but he's also doing just enough to have some value. Yeah, I wouldn't drop Brown because he's playing 35 minutes a night. He's locked in as that 5th starter. And who was the other guy? Oh, Aldama. Yeah, look, he's obviously overinflated at the moment with all the injuries, and Kennard has to come back as well.
Yep, there you
go.
So,
there's more mouths to feed. Right now you'd obviously go with Aldama, but in a week, I mean, Jar was out today as well.
Yep.
So that's why Aldama. He is one of those guys who has the ability to benefit no matter who is out, because he can sort of slot in and play a few different roles. So I think he does have some sort of sustainable value, because it's unlikely that the Grizzlies are 100% healthy across the board for a sustained period of time. But yeah, I think Bub Carrington is an interesting stash kind of guy for later in the season.
And you can join DMAC when you pick him up, DMAC at NBA Fantasy Bible and me. If you do pick him up on your waiver wire, you just have to @ us and then push hashtag Chubb for Bub, because myself, Skitty, and DMAC are the biggest Chubb for Bub blokes in fantasy land. This is another question from NFL Maverick. Shout out to you, Matty Morrell. He is one of our NFL analysts. Sorry, boys, a bit off topic, but Zubac has been off. Nothing is off topic on this show. We're here to talk basketball. Zubac has been on fire. Looks like he has been really clicking with Harden in the pick and roll. Do you think we hold or sell high? 1, said that to begin the season. 2, Mally said that for the season. 3, Kingy said that to begin the season. This is the Zubac we wanted. Avicii went off my draft radar the second that he flew up into the 60s and 70s, because I just thought it was like about his ceiling. He's returning that right about now, which hurts, but I am not going to tell you what to do, you bastard, because I'm in 2 leagues with you, so you can get stuffed. So on to the next question from Nicholas. No, you can, as long as you're selling for someone like really good, like a Jarrett Allen, who could probably stick around with similar value if you're trading centers. Great, but you fit your need where you can, Morrell. Triple J and Schroeder for Brunson and Nurk. Who wins the trade? 14-team points league from Nicholas Starofsky. G'day, Nicholas. What do you feel this one, Kingy?
Let's have a look. Points league. Yeah, I mean, Brunson is obviously the number one guy there. Look, Nurk.
Schroeder is a super cheap Brunson. Let's just call
Schroeder's been pretty good, and Simmons, I hate to say it, but he does look a little bit washed.
See, I thought the opposite. I thought when he looked a little bit injured, I'm like, this guy's going to have value. I can just see him playing minutes. Like, I don't think he's washed. I just think he's in Brooklyn.
Yeah, look, I hope that's it. I hope he isn't washed. But yeah, I mean, there was vision of him. Was it yesterday's game or the last game where he just passed up an open layup almost twice in one play?
Yeah.
He just, I don't. And this has been an issue for him since that game in playing
Philly,
the playoffs for Philly. So I just there's obviously a mental block there for him where he's afraid to go to the free throw line, or he's worried about his back maybe, or injuries flaring up because he was sort of driving into Brook Lopez, so obviously a noted sort of defender, shot blocker. I hope he's not. But in terms of this trade, I don't know. I might go the JJJ. Schroeder. Yeah. I just Nurkic has looked really bad.
Yeah, he has. He hasn't looked as good as he did last year. He will be better than that, but I think Triple J's only just come back. We're going to see a lot more from him as well. So I do think that's what we look for. So I'm with you there. The next one down here was thanks guys. Oh no, absolute pleasure. Cow just joined. Talked about the Amen situation. You mean that the fact that the Houston Rockets have way too many pieces and they need to make a trade with him, so Amen Thompson ends up in Miami for Jimmy Butler? Is that the situation we're talking about? Because I literally think if I'm the Houston Rockets right now with all my young assets, Jimmy Butler is an asset that I would be trading if they look like they're not going to be who they are anymore. So we haven't talked about the situation because there is no situation. This is unfortunately the spoilt for riches case of the Houston Rockets. And with him getting minutes, he's doing really well in his backup minutes. You can hold on to him in a standard head-to-head league. He'll be valuable, Kingy, in my opinion. But like you might be facing a situation where you do drop him to pick up the hottest free agent in the market right now.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that I'm holding maybe out of pride because I was relatively high on him, and I still am long term. I just thought, we saw the preseason. I thought they're going to find a way to get him 25 minutes, but he's not there. He's at sort of 20, and he's doing bits and pieces. So I'm trying to hold him where I can. And hoping that, because I think he will be a little bit like with Santi Aldama. If the Rockets suffer an injury to a starter, Thompson can slide in and play bigger minutes. So it wouldn't matter if it was Van Fleet or if Jabari Smith went down or Dylan Brooks went down. I think Thompson would be the first guy to pick up extra minutes, closely followed by Tari Eason. But Eason has had some injury sort of stuff, and he was questionable for a game because they were looking at resting him. So I just don't think they want to push Eason yet. So I would be trying to hold Amen if possible.
Agreed. My worst pick from Mac 2 Fleet might have been Draymond Green. How much should I give time before moving on? We just never give up on Draymond Green. He's a notorious slow starter. You wait a month, and then you see what you can get. He'll do his thing. Steph's out right now for the next little bit. We know he plays better with him on the floor. Just give it time. Notorious slow starter. He is one you do not hit the panic button on, because the second that the rule of Draymond Green is this: the second that you drop him, he's going to know that it was personally you. He's going to hear about it somehow, and he's going to put on a show for the next 2 months and get these stats that you were meaning, and it's all going to be for you. And I have no idea how Draymond Green gets your phone number, but he's literally just looking at it, laughing at you the entire time. So don't rush on Draymond Green. But yeah, look, it hasn't been great, but give it another couple of weeks and then put him in a package for somebody else, in my opinion.
Yeah. Look, I didn't draft Draymond. I don't like him, so I'm not faced with that question. But yes, I think with Steph, he's going to miss at least the next 2 games, so I wouldn't drop Draymond yet. He hasn't been good. And he could be washed because he's very old and slow. Yes. And he doesn't have that defensive sort of upside to fall back on as much as he did 3-4 years ago. So I'd give him at least another couple of games. Let's see how he looks with Steph out. But me personally, I'd have no issues moving on from him. But I do know that he tends to be a slow starter, like you said.
Yeah, he just fucking just he's 107. He's 170 something right now. I think he's back. What is it? 180 something? Whatever it is, he's well down the rankings right now. Yeah. He will be better than that, but this is the thing that he does. He starts slowly, then it gets ramping up. It's the Golden State Warriors. It's what they do. But conversely, Andrew Wiggins has played really well. So this is where guys like in Golden State, the mix up of the situation right now, Wiggins went on waiver wires. I mean, put it in chat if you were on a waiver wire and then you turned around one morning and all of a sudden, oh, g'day, Wiggo. He was just there and he was playing well again. A couple of years, like back in the time machine, and Wiggins is playing at the caliber that we need from him. So we love that one. Is Tobias Harris a drop? No, Thomas, we absolutely do not drop Tobias Harris. You will be the dumbest person in your league if you do. Please don't do that. It will cost you the pick that you invested in Tobias Harris. You ride that out, or you upgrade him with someone else in your team and make a trade for him. He will have value. Wait until he gets on one of his heaters for about a week or two, and then that's when you ship him off. But just do not drop him, because you're going to have to go. As a former Tobias Harris relationship person, Tobias houses Harris and I have been in many relationships over my fantasy years. I can tell you this one. He's just good for you. He's the girlfriend you call for the old rekindling. Hey, Tobias, how are you, mate? Are you okay? Don't go throw him back. You do not put him on the wire. But once you've traded him, like me, it's like my wife says, you just cut and run. You just cut communication with your exes and you move on. So I'm a proud non-Tobias Harris owner now in my life. And hopefully next season you would have learned your lesson, Thomas. But don't bloody give up on him. Kingy, that's my moral of that story.
Yeah, no, don't drop him. As you said, if he's obviously not playing as well as we thought he might, but now he's not going to be a drop. But if you want to look to trade him, wait for him to put 2 or 3 strong games together, and then try to move him for a top 50 or top 60 player.
Yeah, 100%. You don't want to just give up on that. It's all about the investment, Kingy. Like, you don't want to. People were spending. I think his ADP, when I last looked at it, was ending up in the. Wow, what was it? Tobias Harris. I think when I had a look, I've got the ADP rankings here at the end of the season. Tobias Harris ADP, depending on your website. Where did you go, Tobias Harris? He ended up going in the. Maybe I flipped it by team. I'll go by team and then I'll get to it. Tobias Harris ended up really coming in rankings. He was, I won't say a darling, but he just got a lot of love. He ended up in Yahoo at 65. He ended up coming in at. So you just don't want to throw out a 65 pick like that. By no means there. Do we sell high on Sohan, and should we be worried about Scotty Barnes' injury? Look, let's wait on the Scotty Barnes injury for more details to emerge of that. It was at the end of the game. I haven't heard much more on that. So I think we'll hear about that in the next 24 hours, and we can see where that goes. But that is good news, I guess, for those quickly owners. RJ Barrett coming back as well. They're going to get big bumps there. Sell high on Sohan? Look, no, because I'm going to shout out to my boy from Insight Fantasy Sports, Matty Malley, who is a Spurs lover, a Spurs truther, and he's also a Sohan guy. And he was like, look, I'm picking up Sohan in a lot of leagues late because I think he's going to be valuable in this team this year. He's out of his point guard position from the beginning of last year. He played better at the second half of last year. So I think this is the Sohan we're going to kind of maybe know and love, Kingy.
Yeah, he's been good. He wasn't someone initially that I was targeting late in drafts, but I came around on him as we got closer to opening night, and I think I ended up getting him two leagues. And yeah, look, I think he's not being forced to handle the ball. He's playing in his natural position. I think his scoring is probably pretty elevated at the moment because Wemby obviously hasn't been doing what we thought he would. So there's probably a little bit of inflation there, but I still think Sohan, unless you could trade him, I mean, if you're looking at selling high, I probably wouldn't accept anything less than a top 70 player. I think he's probably a top 100 player this year. But if you can't, I wouldn't trade him for a top 100 player. You'd want to get a top 70 for him. Otherwise, just hold him and enjoy it.
Yeah, 100%. Jimmy, you put in the chat here, do we grab half in standard leagues? Thanks so much. Look, I don't see any problem with grabbing him. I mean, I picked him up, another 10 points, 2 blocks last game, an assist and 2 rebounds. It's short term. It's a good plug and play field, Jim. It's good plug and play Jim. So if you want to field him into your team, you can, and you can ditch him off. The Grizzlies don't have a bad week this week by any means. So he is a very good streaming option to get into your lineups. Again, we have to just see where it is. We had no Morant today, so we can't overinflate these things with the Memphis Grizzlies. Triple J is back, so we've just got to see how it plays out. But yeah, look, grab him, give him a burn, and if you don't, throw him back into the waiver wire. Absolutely. So I'm literally looking at him right now to prove that I did it myself. I'm victim to the same Huff disease. So there you go. Jim picked him up, streamed him, did me good, and I'm happy to throw him back and pick up Kevin Huerter in that league because apparently he is the starter when he wasn't supposed to be in Sacramento. Go figure.
Yep. Yeah, give Huff a look. I think we're going to see a drop off because I do think that Jaren Jackson was out. Edie keeps getting in foul trouble. So there's been a reason in each game for him to step into a 20-minute role. But in saying that, Edie was not in foul trouble today, and he only played 11 minutes, or I don't know. He didn't play much.
Didn't play a lot.
And I think it was sort of a bad matchup for him, but it certainly doesn't look like the Grizzlies are sort of pushing him to be a 25-minute a night player. He's starting, but he's not playing anywhere near starters minutes. And I actually raised this question on my show earlier as to who would I prefer right now, Zach Edey or Donovan Clingan? And I think I'd prefer Clingan.
Clingan. I mean, not a great Clingan game today, but still, not bad. Not bad. And I've got one for you here too. This is going to be very interesting to start. I know this is going to be I'm just double checking on this one because I know he had a much improved game today. So I'm doing the stats really quickly here, but I'm going to ask you this one. Here we go. Is trading Ingram for Tobias a good buy low in 9-cat considering the Pelicans will get healthy at some point? Depends. Like if he goes in real life, if Ingram gets moved, it's really the question then is how much that hurts his value to me, Kingy.
Yeah. So I guess we're acquiring Tobias here, trading away Ingram.
Yeah. I would see if you can get another piece. I would see if you can get another low end piece in that one and drop the worst buyout.
I think I'd rather Ingram, but I think they're pretty close as well. Ingram's looked really good to start the season, but those around him have looked terrible. So they haven't had DeJounte. Trey Murphy is out. Zion just can't hit a shot for some reason. So, look, I think this is probably, if you look at both of these players, it's a good sell high opportunity for Ingram and a really good buy low opportunity for Tobias. But I think you could probably get someone better than Tobias in a trade. I'm not saying that it's not a good trade, but I think you could probably ask for a little bit more.
I do, and that's where I think the second piece, if it's a decent piece, you could really sell that a little bit on them. We've almost been an hour. We've got lots of questions coming in chat. Keep those up. We do have one more ADP battle, and I thought we would start with one of my favorites. I thought we'd finish the ADP battle.
So
you haven't seen this one. This is my one. You haven't, because I like to surprise. I like to surprise people. I think it's fun, but it's always good surprises, Kingy.
Yeah,
it's never a bad surprise. Good.
I've been waiting all day for this surprise.
It's Jalen's. It is Jalen Johnson versus Jalen Williams. And I never thought we would be in the conversation where I looked at the two Jalen's because I just drafted these and the guys. Oh, by the way, I made you very proud. I'm in the Insight Dynasty League, 12 teams. Came back end of the second round. I had the second pick. I took Luka behind Wemby with number 1, obviously. I picked up Jalen Williams, and then I waited for the turn. It came back around. I picked up Jalen Johnson. I've just got a couple of Jalen's on my team for a lot of years to come. I never thought I'd be having the conversation where Jalen Williams, J-Dub, is at 135 currently in 9-cat leagues, and Jalen Johnson is 117. So these blokes are fitting right into the bill of buy low. Now, both of them have had better games the last game, both didn't start off well, but seeing where they fit in their current context of their lineups, who are you taking right now? Which Jalen? Which Jalen? We're going to do a Jalen check once a month on just one set of Jalen's in the league.
Yeah, it's close. I had Jalen Williams about a round ahead of him coming into the season. I had him in that 30 range, and then I had Jalen Johnson in the 40 range. I don't think too much has changed, to be honest. I know they both started off slow. I know Jalen Johnson was really good today. He had a career high 29 points, I think.
Yep.
And his other numbers have been okay. It's just been his percentages that have been down. But I feel like Jalen Williams does this. He takes a little while to get going. I know he's not a sort of a 10-year veteran or anything like that, but he usually does take a few games to get going. But once he gets rolling, and to be honest, the Thunder really haven't been challenged that much yet. So, I mean, obviously players are going to say, well, we're putting in 100% every game. It doesn't matter who the opposition is, but we know that's not true. If you're playing a team and you're winning by 30, you're going to take your foot off the gas a little bit. So
agreed.
I still think it's Jalen Williams for me by probably around 10 spots if we are looking at this at pure rankings.
Yep. And I am probably, at this exact moment, I would probably take Jalen Johnson only because I haven't seen the Isaiah Hartenstein experience yet. And if Hartenstein comes back and that's going to create a situation, at least I know what I'm getting at Jalen Johnson right now at the beginning of the season. And this is why I say it's probably this is the lowest point. The exercise more isn't which Jalen do you take. The exercise is grab one of them in one of your leagues right now because one of them's had a great game. Cool. If that bottoms down a little bit tomorrow or the next one, it's like, okay, he's played 1 and 5 that are great. You can argue with the manager and quibble over that. But this is probably around the lowest buy low point you're going to get for these blokes who people, like you said, invested like late 20s, early 30 to 35 pick on Jalen Williams around his ADP and a 40-ish pick for Jalen Johnson. You might be able to tease someone in there who's traveling very high right now, get this pick back and return value at the end of the day and help you win your league. So this is probably about the lowest buy low window option, Kingy.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're, as you said, they're in the whatever they are, 130s, 150s now. Yep. They probably don't sink any lower than this. It's probably going to be a bit harder on Jalen Johnson because he did have that career high performance today. Yep. But as you said, if he has another bad game, then people will go, well, was that the outlier? And he's not that good. And Jalen Williams, I don't know what the Thunder's schedule is like this week, who they play, but if they have a couple more favourable matchups, then it wouldn't be surprising to see Jalen Williams just sort of doing enough, but only getting maybe 16 points and 5 rebounds. So nothing outlandish.
Yeah, nothing that's going to like just scream off the page that you want to make sure you take care of. Yeah, love that. Mate, any other notes for the night? I reckon we've wrapped this up nicely. We've got any last questions? Drop them into the chat below. Here we go. We've got that one, mate. Anything else you want to add, Kingy? Talk about your daily shows, mate.
No, nothing from today. Daily shows seem to be going well. I've only started them this year, and I was planning doing 5 days a week, but I'm already doing 6. But that was, and look, to be honest, it probably ends up being close to 7 shows a week. Depending what I'm doing on a Monday. Monday night is my movie night. So that's the night I've said I'm not doing a show. Right, if I don't go to the movies, then I'll probably do a show. So, okay. But no, it's going well. And I think Dan Bespris and I are doing a mailbag show potentially every week. I do a mailbag show with Josh as well, Josh Lloyd, every week. Either every 1 or 2 weeks. We're not sure yet. My articles, started writing articles again, so they're up on RotoWire. If you head over to their website, you can find doing 2 or 3 a week there. But no, just lots of stuff on Twitter, lots of shows, lots of content. I was actually figuring out in my head how much time I spend doing this stuff, and it's probably about 4 hours a day minimum, which that's a lot.
It's a lot, but it's what we love and it's what you love, and that's what we're here for. You can catch pretty much all the same, myself, Kingy, on this show every single week for the crossover. You can catch me with Skitty and Mally for our inside shows. We're on pretty much 5 or 6 days a week. We've got our weekly preview shows, our weekly buy, our like sell high, buy low show debuted last night for the week. We're going to start going over those every single week. We've got Trash Talk Thursdays, which is a brand new show every Thursday, which we're basically just going to be hanging, crap on the players who are really underperforming in the NBA and lining a bit of a fire up to make moves for them in your leagues. That's going to be headed up by Skitty and Mally on Thursdays. Make sure you check that one out and make sure you like and subscribe to all things at FBI Basketball and at Insight Fantasy Sports. You can get us at Insight FS. Kingy, always a pleasure, my man.
No worries. It was good. A new night, just as exciting.
Tuesdays. Yeah, Tuesdays. Same shit, different day. We love it. Yep. We'll catch you next Tuesday, everyone. Take care.
All right.
You just listened to another episode from the Fantasy Basketball International Podcast Network. Thanks for joining us. And for more information about joining our community, please check out our website at fbibasketball.com.